And good afternoon. Welcome. We are thrilled that you have joined us today. We've got a fantastic show in store. As always, Dr. Greco will be joining us from the Joint Chiropractic. If you've got a bad neck, bad back, something's hurting in your body, Dr. Patrick Greco will be on air telling us how to fix it. Well, not really. He's going to tell you where to go to get it fixed. So I'm looking forward to having that interview with him. Pastor Tommy Fountain of 1025 Church will be coming in at about 12:30. And then in the second hour, former state rep Terry England with a very fascinating story. It's Terry was a rep for the State House in the General Assembly, had a terrible accident, and he's going to share with us the harrowing incident and what he's getting through in his recovery. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Chastity, we are making a push to invite people to come on the show that have a compelling story to share, and part of that is if you do know somebody who you think has something that is share-worthy, email us.
Yes.
info@wmoqfm.com. We've already gotten a couple emails in. And we're doing this, we're making this campaign because this show isn't just for elected officials. It isn't just for the high-profile people that maybe are community, well-known in the community. If you just got a great story,
you're doing something good in the community, let us know about it.
I love that.
Yes.
That's one angle. If you're doing something good for the community, we want to hear about it.
Yep.
If you have a story of redemption,
yes.
If you've gone through tough times and you've climbed on top, if you've got something that you can share with our listeners that is motivational, inspirational, we want to hear it. But you got to email us. It's the only way to get through.
Yep.
And you email info@wmoqfm.com. Chastity will take a look at it. She'll probably,
I'll be
check
calling
it.
you.
Be sure she's going to curate it. Be sure she'll call you. Be sure
Yes.
that it's a good
You
fit
are
for
on the
us.
show.
Yeah. And, if you make it past Chastity to get on the show,
You're good.
you're good.
Yep.
You're good. It'll be a lot of fun. Chastity, a couple interesting things to talk about before we get into the interviews. The first one is rather tragic. And this is in regards to the shooting yesterday in Minnesota by the ICE agent. And before I even proceed on this, I want to make it crystal clear. I 100% support ICE. I support who they are, what they're doing, the effort that they're taking underway. It is, I think, vitally important to the safety of our nation, our citizens, that they complete their job unobstructed. Let's set that aside for a second. I want to talk about law enforcement in general. We ask these young men and women to wear a badge, carry a gun, and to go out every day and to perform the most dangerous activity that we can ask anybody in this country to do, and that's to patrol the streets and keep us safe.
Protecting and serving.
That's it, protecting and serving. It is a dangerous job,
Yes.
and often we do see where people challenge our law enforcement officers, whether it's county, city, state, or federal. We see it all the time on social media where people refuse orders, they don't obey commands, they're not compliant. When you do this, when you disobey the commands of a law enforcement officer, whether you agree with what they're asking you to do or not, you are immediately elevating the stress level of everybody involved.
Absolutely.
So when you all of a sudden start demonstrating a behavior that is non-compliant or even violent, you are putting that person's life in risk. Your life as well.
Absolutely.
You're putting the law enforcement officer's life at risk, and you're putting your life at risk. These are human beings. They're not robots. And when you start challenging their authority and putting up a fight, you are creating a very dangerous situation. So I'm going to share a quick story. This is something that happened to me personally when I was 16 years old. Wow. So go back to Rockdale County. I'm 16 years old. That was a long time ago, back in 1986. And I had driven my motorcycle to, I was a karate instructor at Kim Brothers Karate. I rode my motorcycle to the karate school as I did every single day. Drove my bike to the school, parked it on the front porch of the karate school, went inside, got my uniform, and I was teaching a class. And I'm 16, maybe I'm 17 at the time. I can't remember, but I'm 16 or 17 years old. And I'm teaching a class. And now imagine this. I'm in there with, 6 and 7 and 8-year-old kids, and I'm the instructor. And a Rockdale County Sheriff's deputy comes and parks in the parking lot. And I can see that he pulls into the parking lot. I'm thinking, oh, my God, what's going on with this?
Right.
Then he walks into the building. I'm like, oh, maybe he wants to sign up. Then he walks out onto the floor and he says, are you the one that was driving that motorcycle?
Uh-oh.
And I said, yes, sir. He says, come with me. He puts me in handcuffs.
Oh.
and he puts me in the back of the cruiser.
Scary.
Now, in my mind, I know 100% I've done nothing wrong, right?
Okay.
But I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Sure.
I'm obeying his commands.
Complying.
I'm complying. I get in the back of the car, and I said, "Officer, so what is, or deputy, what am I being charged with? What's going on?" He says, "Well, you were racing your motorcycle at 100 miles an hour." Well, I immediately knew he had me mistaken for somebody else because, first off, my motorcycle doesn't go 100 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I knew he had made a mistake.
Right.
And so I kind of made that. I said, "Officer, I think you made a mistake." I said, my motorcycle's right there on the front porch." He said, "No, because I saw you." He says, "I clocked you. I saw you." And so I kept my mouth shut. Well, then I hear him on the radio with another deputy, and they started talking about the two bikes in question. And one bike was red, one bike was yellow, my bike was blue.
Oh, wow.
And I could almost see the officer's shoulders slump a little bit because then he knew, ooh,
darn.
I just dragged this dude out of a building and put him in cuffs and put him in the back of the car.
Man.
And so he then said, "Hey, I'm going to let you off the hook this time." And so he didn't handle it the right way, right? He should have said, "Hey, you know what, dude, I messed up. You're the wrong guy."
Sure.
I did not care. He let me out of the car, took the cuffs off. I went back in, taught my class. The next day, I get a phone call from the sheriff apologizing to me.
Oh, well, that was nice.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
But Chastity, how could that have gone sideways? Imagine walking into the karate school.
Sure.
"Hey, come with me. What's this about?" "Come with me." "No, well, I want to know what this is about." "Well, you were racing." "No, I wasn't racing."
Right.
And now I'm creating this conflict with this guy.
Defiant. Yes. Mm-hmm.
This could have turned into a brawl.
Right.
Could have turned into a situation where I get shot or I get banged over the head, and would have deserved it if I resisted it.
Sure.
And so when I'm telling people that you need to behave in a certain way when you are in the presence of law enforcement, I'm practiced what I preach.
Sure.
So now let's go step back to the event yesterday. I've seen the video.
Mm-hmm.
There's an investigation that's going to take place. I get that. It's tragic that the woman lost her life, but it could have been the ICE agent.
Absolutely. Or there could have been kids standing there too. It could have been just, it was a bad situation. So
she ignored the first officer that approached the door, and this is just from my viewpoint of the angle of the camera.
Yes.
And if that officer in front of her car who fired the shot if he wasn't as agile as a cat, he would have been killed.
Mm-hmm.
If it was me, I wouldn't have been able to get out of the way of her. That dude was like, a running back evading a linebacker. He scooted out of the way quickly. Thank God. Unfortunate that she died, but this is once again an example. You do not screw around in these situations.
Right.
I don't want to be heartless in the fact that she lost her life. This is devastating for her and her family. It should have never happened, but this is her fault.
Right.
This is not ICE's fault.
She could have avoided it.
Well, and the left is saying, "Well, I shouldn't be there in the first place." Yes, they should. They're following through on orders that have been set forth by President Trump and by Tom Homan and by the security of our nation to remove violent criminal illegal aliens, and they're doing this. That's why they're there. And people that are getting involved and getting in their way and creating problems, you're just going to make it worse. And like I said, it's tragic, but I thank the Lord that the ICE agent gets to go home to his family that night because of his quick thinking and evading that. So, tragic incident, and it could have been avoided, Chastity.
Yes. And I've read that she actually wasn't even from that community, that she had heard that the agents were going to be there, and so she made a point to get in her car from her home and come
to go get involved. And that's so typically, if you'll notice with my show, I usually wait a couple of days before I start commenting on a story because I like to let that information dissipate a little bit and kind of get to the real. I want to know what really took place, and so that could be the scenario. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. All I can base upon is what I saw in the video. In the video, it is amazing that ICE officer did not get run over. She was extremely close to killing that officer. Would have been tragic. On a little bit more of a positive note, there has been a new food pyramid issued, and this is quite different. And there's two elements to this food pyramid. So you've got the food pyramid that's been issued, and it's quite different than the one that we've seen in the past. Matter of fact, it's kind of been inverted. So, Chastity, do you remember the old food pyramid where I think grains were at the top?
Right. Yes.
We'd see it on the cereal box when we were kids.
Yeah.
So now the new food pyramid has proteins and vegetables at the top. Is that right? And then grains are at the bottom?
Yes. Kind of, yeah. So makes sense to me, a little, definitely fruits and vegetables first, But
Well,
yeah.
I like that. It looks like they got chicken legs up at the top there. Don't
They do
got
have some
steak
protein and like meat and stuff. I like that too.
Yeah, I'm sure the PETA folks are going to flip out over that. But I think this is great. It's I know there's people out there that advocate for these diets that are just protein, vegetable type diets. I don't know. I don't really follow a diet. That's why I'm a little bit chubby. But there is, I get that, more protein, less grain. But I got to say, I do like a bagel. I just had a killer biscuit this morning from a place called Suncatcher Cafe
Ooh,
in
yum.
Watkinsville. First time I've ever been there. Miss Sheila, owner. Man, they whipped up an incredible biscuit.
Ooh.
So I love my biscuits.
Oh, yeah. Is it like the homemade?
Yeah, it was homemade,
Like
big.
the big ones?
Yeah,
Like the,
it's really big.
I think they call those like a cat head biscuit or
This
something.
was the size of a Frisbee. It was
yeah.
huge. It
Those
was
are
delicious.
the best.
I got sausage,
Yum.
egg, and cheese. Yeah. First time I've ever been there. Our buddy Adam Hammond. Remember Adam that came in here a couple weeks ago? He invited me over there and we went and had breakfast this morning.
nice.
Late breakfast. So I love my biscuits. I love my grains.
Me
I love my bagels, all that good stuff. So I don't know that I'm going to follow this new food pyramid to a T, but it is quite different than what we've seen in the past, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is part of RFK's initiative to get people to eat healthier. But the other element on this, Chastity, is they're also suggesting that Americans drink less. And what I mean by drink less, alcoholic beverages.
Sure. Or caffeinated.
Well,
Water's good.
Well, so what they're talking about is, I guess in the past there was guidelines that said that men should drink no more than 2 drinks a day. Women drink 1 drink a day. These would be whether it's a beer, whether it's wine, whether it's a spirit. Mm-hmm. That's what now they're saying. Hey, just drink less. And some of the people are saying, well, that's kind of an open-ended deal. Now I've got a theory on this, and my theory is pretty simple: just don't drink. But I'm kind of a thrill kill when I say that to a lot of my buddies who are like, Mark, why are you going to say that?
Well, I'm looking here, and the reason that the food pyramid kind of is being debunked right now, it says the old pyramid was recommending up to 11 servings of bread, cereal, rice, pasta. That's a lot.
Per day?
Yeah.
See, I'd be on board with that. I love some pasta.
I love pasta too, but I couldn't eat 11 servings.
I can knock out
There's
a half
no
a
way.
loaf of bread myself. You put a bowl of pasta in front of me with a half a loaf of bread, I'll make the whole thing go
now,
away.
I love my pasta. I love my bread. But
11 servings, that's pretty.
That is a little overkill. So.
That means you would have to have spaghetti for breakfast.
Oof.
If you're going to get 11 servings today, you're having
Yeah.
spaghetti for breakfast to make that whole thing work. Well, it'll be interesting to see how this is received, the new food pyramid and the suggestion of drinking less alcohol, which I think is great. Mm-hmm. I think that makes us a healthier, better nation all around. If you were to quit drinking alcohol, you put more money in your pocket, you're a healthier human being, and your family's going to like you better.
Yes.
Those are 3 guarantees
That's
in
true.
life, right? 3 guarantees in life. And I know when Pastor Tommy Fountain gets on here in just a few minutes, he's going to agree with me on that.
He will agree.
Yep,
Yes.
he's going to agree 100%. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, Dr. Patrick Greco of the Joint Chiropractic will be on with us.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry designed just for you? At P&A Jewelers, family owned since 1976, we've been helping our customers shine for nearly 50 years. Now proudly run by second-generation brother and sister team, we specialize in custom jewelry design, expert repair work, and fine jewelry for every occasion. Visit P&A Jewelers, where family tradition sparkles. Located in Loganville beside Quick Trip, or online at shoppajewelers.com. Follow us on Facebook to see what's new.
Don't miss a huge discounts on new Fords and special financing rates for most qualified buyers going on now at Loganville Ford. Plus, see their great selection of pre-owned vehicles at their used car supercenter at discounted prices. Loganville Ford is your home for Quick Lane, offering service and tires for all makes and models. Open Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. 3460 Highway 78 in Loganville. Stop in or shop online at LoganvilleFord.com.
Youngblood Tractor in Madison is proud to be your local Massey Ferguson dealer. Massey Ferguson has been building straightforward, dependable, and affordable tractors and farm equipment for 175 years. Massey Ferguson right now has the best lineup in their 175-year history, and there has never been a better time to upgrade to a Massey Ferguson tractor. Youngblood Tractor carries the complete lineup of Massey Ferguson tractors, ranging from the 22.5 horsepower subcompact all the way up to the 130 horsepower mid-range utility tractor. And with one of the largest trailer inventories in the state, you'll always have a way to get it home. Youngblood Tractor also carries the complete lineup of hay equipment, including the legendary Massey Ferguson 1840 square baler, as well as implements like rotary cutters, batwing cutters, box blades, grapples, pallet forks, and more. There are great financing promotions to take advantage of, so give us a call today at 706-342-2242. Youngblood Tractor also has experienced parts and service departments to take care of you after the sale. Visit us online at www.youngbloodtractor.com or stop by and see us at 1600 Athens Highway in Madison.
Welcome back to the Marc McMain Show. If you have back pain or neck pain, or you are a pain in the neck, our next guest is going to guide you in the right direction and help you get straightened out. Dr. Patrick Greco of the Joint Chiropractic. Dr. Patrick, thanks for joining us, sir.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Absolutely. So I'm looking at your bio, doctor, and I realize that you went to Life University College of Chiropractic. Is that still considered kind of the Harvard of chiropractic school? Because that's where everybody tends to go if they're a chiropractor in this region.
Yeah, basically, when Sid Williams started the school back in the 70s, it was one of the first here in the Southeast, and it really exploded. They actually are the largest chiropractic college in the country, if not the world.
Wow. Yeah, so, and it's funny because back in the 80s and 90s, his commercials were a mainstay on television. I mean, he really marketed himself well to, at least to Georgians.
Oh, yeah. He was a ex-football player with Georgia Tech, and he'd always be on there commentating with the sportscasters.
So tell us a little bit about your journey. What was your reasoning for getting involved in chiropractic?
Well, I honestly, it started when I was a kid. My father, I was kind of bullied in school. I was young, called small, scrawny. And my father kind of saw that and he bought me a weight set. So I'd go downstairs and every day I get home from school and I'd work out. And I just suddenly felt myself getting stronger.
Yeah.
And then I felt myself getting more confident. And I was kind of staving off a lot of these bullies in school. And I saw the power of the body and how being healthier can make you more confident and more productive and more, progress throughout your day. But one thing I noticed about my father, he kind of would come, he was a roofer. He'd come home, he'd lay on the couch and just kind of, be lazy. He had diabetes, heart problems. And I gradually saw his health decline.
Right.
So I went to college and I was, gung-ho in business school, hated it, took economics, didn't know what the hell they were talking about. So I was still into health and wellness. And I said, you know what, I'm going to check out, the health, health and phys ed. They had a degree in that, teaching degree at Seton Hall University, New Jersey. So I took my degree, but I really want to be a teacher. So a buddy of mine, he was going to chiropractic school because his uncle was a chiropractor. And his uncle was like, he drove a brand new Lexus, had a nice big house, had a house down at the beach, a beautiful wife and family. This could be a good career. So yeah. I jumped on board and I went down to Life and it was really, it changed my life, no pun intended. But it really just had a sense of community within the school, and it really just helped me grow, not only academically, professionally, but also personally.
That's great.
So then I got involved, so I had private practice. It was great. It was so exciting at first, but I was also accepting all the insurance, the insurance payments. I was on every insurance panel. And what you realize is the insurance companies, they're not in the business to pay claims. They're in business to collect premiums.
Right.
So every year I'd get that knot in my stomach every December. I'm like, oh crap, here comes January. Deductibles are going to have to be fulfilled. That, the co-pays are going up. That means less rent for me. So I was basically working twice as hard, making half as much. So that's when I was like, it's time to diversify. And which led me to Massage Envy. I ended up investing in a couple of Massage Envy clinics.
Yeah, I remember them.
And that's how it kind of led me into the world of franchising. And then essentially that led me to the Joint. What led me to the Joint is just working, trying to bill all the insurance companies, do all the physical therapy and all that stuff. I thought that, he was a roofer. He came home. He was tired at the end of the day. He wasn't going to go sit for an hour in a doctor's office at a scheduled time every week to get his adjustment. He didn't have the insurance or the financing to cover the costs out of the pocket for those clinics. And the joint kind of fills that niche. What we do with the joint is different. We're a bit of a disruptor in the chiropractic profession. Our mission is to improve quality of life through routine, affordable chiropractic care. So what we do is we remove all those roadblocks that prevent people from coming in for routine care. And it just kind of clicked when I thought, this is something my father would like. And that's kind of what led me into the profession and what led me into the brand.
And so before we get into the joint, what really makes you guys unique, because I do understand some of the concept of what y'all do. Why does chiropractic care matter? Because I think people neglect, when I was joking about it before you came on, if you got a pain in the neck, pain in the back, so often people just ignore it, right? They're like, oh man, this is just who I am. A lot of that is treatable through chiropractic care.
Yes, 100%. And most, 99% of the public, they seek out chiropractic care for pain relief. And that's the mindset. That's the mentality of our population, is you go to the doctor when you're sick.
Right.
Well, and that's what chiropractors, they jumped on the bandwagon. Neck pain, back pain, car accidents, workers' comp. And that's great. And when you do come in, yes, it's pain driven. And initially our intent is to get you well. But in the bigger picture, the bigger scheme of things, what the philosophy base behind chiropractic is to keep you well.
It's like a maintenance.
And it's about prevention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all about prevention. Just like Ben Franklin said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Dr. Patrick Greco. He's with the Joint Chiropractic. And prevention. So what you're saying is, going in, even when you're not ailing, even when your back doesn't hurt, going in for a routine checkup / adjustment is what you need to kind of keep your body aligned and keep you in motion. There's something that's out there and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I was kind of looking forward to the interview just because of this. If you're on social media, you're starting to see a litany of these videos of chiropractors who are really aggressively doing these bizarre adjustments. And I'm not talking about the spoof videos. I'm talking real doctors, real chiropractic clinics doing really aggressive stuff. What is your thoughts on that? Have you seen those ones I'm talking about where basically almost they're like laying in
I've seen them. They're out there. It's all about shock value. So
they kind of make me nervous. It looks like it's dangerous.
That's not the true thing. Remember, it's social media, Mark.
Yep.
So it's just to be about getting people's attention. It's it's marketing. It's a marketing tactic to get people's attention. But there's different techniques that we do. At our clinics, we're a bit more streamlined. We do it's called a full spine. So we adjust. We do it manually, so we can adjust every joint in your body, not just your spine, but your extremities as well. Your shoulders, elbows, wrists, ankles, knees. And there's different techniques that we do that the patients might be a little bit more hesitant getting adjusted and hearing that audible sound or that popping sound. It's called an activator. It's just like a little clicker, a little gun that can move the bone, and also drop techniques where the table actually drops out from under the patient, which allows for a more gentler type approach, even though the bang of the table dropping is loud. But it's actually a more gentler approach.
And when you do hear the adjustment, what is that? Is that an air pocket collapsing in the joint? What creates that audible noise?
Oh, are you there, Mark?
Yep. Yeah. Can you hear me, Dr. Greco?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. So
it's called cavitation. That popping noise is called.
Yeah, we may have a little bit of.
Is when a joint's immobile, it's not moving as much. Some gases will build up within that joint, and what we do is feel around your spine, and we apply different pressures, different angles to the joints, and push them back on the proper position.
Interesting.
And when that occurs, gas is released, and it causes audible sound, kind of like if you're, stretching a cord out and tapping it like a drum.
Yep.
And that's the sound of it, called cavitation.
That makes sense. And tell us, what are some of the common misconceptions of chiropractic care? If somebody has never been to a chiropractor and they're considering it, but maybe they've heard some of these crazy stories, or they've seen some of those videos on social media, and they kind of
there's a bunch of misconceptions out there. First, the one that we hear the most is, oh, you're gonna break my neck, you're gonna hurt my back, and that's so far from the truth. And what I always like to do is, put it down into perspective where, like, our insurance, our malpractice insurance that we have for chiropractic is the same as an orthopedic or a heart surgeon. We'll keep it in perspective. Orthopedics is their malpractice insurance is probably $60,000 to $75,000 a year, if not more.
Okay.
Ours is around $1,000 for the same coverage. So numbers don't lie.
The risk is not there. Yeah.
Exactly. Another misconception is that you come in once, you're going to have to go for the rest of your life. You don't have to go for the rest of your life. It's not addictive. It's not like taking rest of your life is an opioid, taking one of those.
Sure.
It's not, you don't have to go. You'll want to go.
That makes sense.
It makes you feel, when you get off the table, you'll feel that it's almost like an endorphin rush, a runner's high. That's what happens when you stimulate the spinal joints. And it just makes you feel so much better that you want to be able to maintain that feeling of wellness.
We're speaking with Dr. Patrick Greco. Dr. Greco, let me ask you this. What makes the joint different? What separates you from the other guys out there?
Well, we remove all the roadblocks for you. First of all, we invite new patients to come in for $29 for their initial consultation, exam, and adjustment.
Wow.
We don't take x-rays. If we feel x-rays are needed, we can just refer out for those x-rays, and then we get the radiology reports and the film. We don't do appointments. It's a walk-in clinic.
So just walk-ins, yeah. That's
whenever you want. We're open. We're open evenings and weekends, and our hours are 10 to 7 Monday through Friday, 10 to 4 on Saturday, and a lot of clinics are open on Sundays from 10 to 4 as well. You also have to deal with insurance. We're cash-based. But if you have an HSA or FSA account, you can utilize that for payment or reimbursement. And the other cool thing is we offer these wellness plans, which are here in this region, they are $79 a month. Just a month. We also have different packages, a 6, 10, and a 20 pack. The higher volume, the deeper discount you get with those, and those are considered prepaids, and those are reciprocal clinic nationwide. Currently, we're at. So let's say if you join the Joint Chiropractic in Monroe, and you fly down to Tampa for the weekend to see your grandmother. You get off the plane, your back is a little sore. You just go onto the app or go to thejoint.com and find a clinic closer to you, and you just walk right in to get adjusted. All your information is for the wellness coordinator up front. If you have any prepaids in there, it's reciprocal. You don't pay anything out of pocket.
Yeah, because you guys have
and then
several
all the
hundred,
doctors have all your notes.
And you've got several hundred locations nationwide, right?
Wow.
Over 950 nationwide.
Wow. Almost 1,000. That's incredible. So let me ask you this one question, final question, Doctor.
We're focusing, like I said, 950 nationwide, and we're, probably expecting to do easily 1,800 or more in the next 10 years.
So let me ask you this, Dr. Greco, in the final minute that we've got. If somebody's listening and they've not been and they haven't, they're considering taking that first step, what would you say to encourage them to get involved or to come see you guys for treatment?
Just go to our website. www.thejoint.com, and there's a bunch of different articles you can read about, in there, and just you can type in your location and you could go to the clinic to you. In the Atlanta metro market, we have over 50 clinics, so there's no place not to go. So we're basically everywhere around the area. And like I said, you can just walk right in, pay $29 for your first visit, and if you're a current patient listening, get on in and get your adjustment today.
Heck yeah. You guys have made it very convenient. It's great. I agree with you, Dr. Greco. This is a good path to health is don't wait till you're hurting. Go out there and start getting proactively adjusted and get aligned, and you're going to feel like $1 million. And I appreciate you taking the time to visit us today. Very informative.
All right, man. You too. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. That was Dr. Patrick Greco, the Joint Chiropractic. They got a location here in Monroe. Go to their website. They've got locations all over the place. Almost 1,000 nationwide, Chastity. That's a really cool perk, too, when you think about what he just said. So if you are on that maintenance plan and you're traveling, because think about it. You're on an airplane for 5 hours, 4 hours.
You're going to get out aching a little.
Yep.
So what a relief.
You go someplace, you play a round of golf. I'm not a golfer, but if you did play a match of tennis and your back hurts and you've got somebody there, that's happened to me quite a bit where I'm traveling and I don't, my back doesn't feel great.
I like that.
That is. That's
and
fantastic.
then you don't have to worry about all the paperwork. You just make an appointment.
Yeah, no appointment.
You're already in the system.
Just walk in,
I like that.
get your adjustment, and get out. That's great.
Well, maybe next time for his interview, we'll get him to come here in the studio with his little popping gun and give us
give a free adjustment.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you an attitude adjustment when you do, Chastity.
Word of mouth is the best, right?
That's right. That's right. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, Pastor Tommy Fountain of 1025 Church.
Hey folks, as we wrap up the year, there's no better time to take care of those everyday aches and pains. At the Joint Chiropractic in Covington and Monroe, we make feeling better simple with no appointments and no insurance hassles. And right now, it's our end of year promotion. Buy 10 months and get 2 months free on our annual wellness plan. That's 16% or more in savings to help you move better, feel better, and enjoy more of what you love. Stop by the Joint Chiropractic in Covington or Monroe today, walk in, get adjusted, and feel the difference.
AI now touches nearly every part of life, from writing articles to even driving cars. But it raises a deeper question. If we created AI, where did our intelligence come from? The Bible says it's a gift from God. He gave us the ability to think, reason, and make sense of the world. Some assume Christianity is just blind faith, believing something is true because the Bible says so. But that's not the case. Genuine faith invites tough questions. It engages the mind. As one pastor said, you don't have to give up your intellect to trust the Bible. You have to give up your pride. Real intelligence isn't just logic or knowledge. It's knowing the God who made you and loving Him with every part of who you are, including your mind. This is Bryant Wright. Really, Bryant Wright, not AI, speaking right from my heart.
Seeking spiritual truth? RightFromTheHeart.org has resources just for you.
Lake Life is the Lake Area's largest award-winning magazine, reaching over 25,000 readers. Pick up your copy of Lake Life magazine today. Get Lake Life free at over 100 convenient locations in Georgia's Lake Country. And keep in mind, you'll receive your free copy with a subscription to the Lake Oconee News or the Eatonton Messenger. Lake Life. It's all about the lives and events in Georgia's Lake Country. Call 706-485-3501 to subscribe. Lake Life, the biggest, the best, and it's free.
John's Supermarket in downtown Monroe is proud to serve the Walton County community for over 50 years. 3 generations of the Thompson family offering the freshest produce, quality meats, everyday essentials, and now featuring Bistro South, a quick service restaurant with freshly made Southern cuisine and ready-to-heat gourmet meals. Always proud to support local farmers and suppliers, John's Supermarket has the best meat in town and tons of weekly specials. Stop by and see them for all the ingredients, meals, snacks, sweets, gifts, and everything in between you need.
And welcome back to the Marc McMain Show. Our next guest here in studio with me is Pastor Tommy Fountain, pastor of 1025 Church here in Monroe. Pastor, it's great to see you as always.
Well, Mark, I'm excited. When I got the call, I just got so excited. I've been promoting this thing now. I hope they're out there listening.
I've seen it.
I was told that most of the folks that listen to me are those folks that grew up in the Mill Village. That's what the former chief of police in Monroe, Keith Glass, said.
He was on here, that's right.
He's an old lint head, okay?
Is that what they
You grew up in the mill. Boy, I don't want to upset anybody. But anyway, so to all my fellow mill working folks, and of course I know they're closed now, but the former guys, thank you guys for making really Monroe what it is today.
Well, when you come in the building, you make I can feel the peace and the energy that you bring with you. It's a great combination, and it's always so good to see you in person. I appreciate what you guys do at 1025 Church. I've talked about it so many times that you have such a reach within the community of things that you do. And Pastor, you know, this station, we reach all the way from Athens to Lake Oconee back into Walton County. There may be a lot of people that have not heard about you or the church. So I was going to let you set the table a little bit. Just briefly tell us a little bit about yourself in 1025 Church.
Be glad to. I've been in the ministry 47 years. And God has just blessed us with placing us in the Monroe area. And so we are 1025 Church. We base that off of our address, 1025 East Spring Street. And also Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25, that says, "Forsake not the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another as you see the day approaching." God blessed us with a good church. We purchased the old Piggly Wiggly. As a matter of fact, I started to work when I was 12 years old in a Piggly Wiggly. When Diane and I got married, I was managing a Piggly Wiggly. My boys tell me, "Daddy, you're going to die in a Piggly Wiggly." So who knows? And now we have a campus also in Statham, and we've taken JoJo Leach, who was our associate pastor and then administrative pastor. He's the campus pastor there. But we are one church with 2 locations, and we're really praying about God giving us a 3rd church. And I'll be meeting with the deacons this Sunday talking about a 3rd location for 1025 Church. But
and your boys are in the ministry too, right?
They are. Our oldest son, Tommy Jr., is the BCM campus minister at the University of Georgia, working with the Georgia Baptist Convention. And then our other son, Stephen, is the pastor at First Baptist Buford, and they are just doing a great job there in Buford, reaching a lot of young people with the gospel. And so it's just been there's 7 of us total on any given Sunday in Georgia or Alabama that are either preaching or leading worship from our family.
That's got to be so heartwarming for you.
Well, it is. And I'm the old guy. The rest of them, the oldest one, they're in their 40s.
You're setting the example.
Well, they're all in their let's see. Matter of fact, one of them's in their 20s now.
Whippersnappers.
So 20s, 30s, and 40s. So when we all get together, I do listen. I know that's hard to believe, but I listen because, our church is a current, conservative, Christ-centered community church. And in the midst of saying that is, man, technology has grown so fast.
Yeah.
Music has changed. The looks of the church have changed. So I literally listen to those 6 guys a lot and say, hey, help me implement that as well. And Mark, that's why you've been to our church a number of times, and we have a lot of young staff. And so with that young staff, I'm drawing from them, saying, hey, how does a 66-year-old preacher, been doing this 47 years, stay, I guess you'd say, stay not only in line with the culture, and we definitely still preach the Bible. We're gospel-centered. We are not a woke church, but we want to be current.
Well, and this is my perspective when I come to 1025 is, number one, I'm always greeted at the door. Good. With a friendly smile, handshake, and if they want, they'll guide you to a place to seat.
That's right.
Sometimes I come with Liliana. We show up late, Pastor. Right? So if I'm coming solo, I'm on time. But if it's with Liliana,
but don't worry, Mr. Charlie and Mr. Randy will take care of it.
They always have to come find us a seat. So they take us back there to show us someplace. And at that point, I sneak in the back because I don't want to catch anybody's attention. But so then you sit down when the service starts. The music is fantastic, and I described it the other day. We were talking about the church about a month ago on the air. That it's kind of a hybrid of you still kind of have a choir, but you've also got that contemporary
Correct.
Christian band. So you've got guitars, you've got drums, but you have your choir up there.
Correct.
And you're playing some great music. So then after that, then you take the stage. You may have somebody come before you that maybe talks about a couple things. You take the stage, and your sermons are just rock solid. I mean, you bring energy, you bring enthusiasm, and you are one of those pastors that is willing to say what needs to be said.
Well, I was taught, my mentor is Jerry Vines, who pastored at First Baptist Jacksonville for years. He's 88 years old now. But he taught us years ago, he said, listen, investigate the Scriptures. That's the Bible, the Word of God. Interpret it, and then apply it. And so every sermon that we preach at Monroe or Statham, we literally have walked through. We've investigated the text. We've interpretation of the text, and then we've also applied the text. And so it just seems to fit people's needs.
Yeah. And so 2 services Sunday morning?
At Monroe, we have a service at 9 and 11, 2 services, and at Statham at 10 o'clock. The Statham campus is doing very well. We started with about 25 people. Sunday they had 157.
Wow.
And we've been there a couple of years now, and God's blessing. Now the campus at Monroe has really grown. I mean, we're running 800. So together we're 1,000 plus now at 1025.
And
Church.
Is it a live feed of the service in Statham, or does JoJo deliver a message?
No, JoJo preaches. We meet together on Mondays and just lay out the sermon. We use the same title, the same text, and the same outline, but then he has, he's 36 years old.
So he
I'm
adds
30
his
years
twist
older.
to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we stay together. Theologically, we're the same. But I do want to do a shout out. I heard that Keith Brooks was in here the other day, our sheriff of Walton County. And he gave me a shout out, and he's telling the truth. There are times I'll be sitting there, and so also there's a knock on the door, and I look up, and there's the sheriff. And listen, he likes late night calls too, so I'm grateful. But he slides in at 9 o'clock most every Sunday morning.
Oh, so he's an early bird.
He is, and then his mother attends another church, and he goes and sits with his mother
He's told me
at another church, which I think I told him, I said, man, that makes me even feel better.
That's impressive. That's double sanctification right there.
Yeah, doubles. Hey, I'm gonna use that.
Oh, You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Tommy Fountain, pastor of 1025 Church. And Chastity, we have was it at 10:30 on Sunday mornings?
10:30 to 11 o'clock. You can hear Pastor Tommy Fountain live here during our Southern Gospel segment.
Yeah, that's a great segment.
Paul, so, yep.
Pastor, what's going on? So a lot of times people don't realize, hey, they think church is just maybe some of the events throughout the week and then on Saturday mornings, but you guys are more than that.
Well, we reach out into the community. Like yesterday, Casey, our student pastor, was at Carver Middle School taking care of the basketball team, not only feeding them, but devotions. I'll be Friday night over at Monroe Area High School. We're also connected with Wyandotte High School. We're in 10 different schools throughout the weeks. And so God has blessed us with that. Yeah,
Pastor,
listen,
they need it.
And I will tell you, they've been so gracious to us.
Yeah.
And it's been a great thing. But we do have a big ministry coming up. We are 22 years old is all. And so on January the 25th through February, I think it's February the 1st, we've got 8 days like a revival meeting. As a matter of fact, we've got 5 great preachers coming in. Josh Sefko, who used to be or was once the president of our Georgia Baptist Convention, is preaching. This may be of interest to you. Mike Griffin, who is the liaison for Georgia Baptist,
I know Mike.
is a member of our church.
Yes, sir.
He'll be preaching on Sunday night. And then we've blessed to have Anthony George, who is the pastor at First Baptist Church Atlanta, who followed the great Charles Stanley. He's always there on Tuesday night. And then Jerry Spear, who's my pastor. He's been at this church, seriously, about 50 years now in Columbus at Northside. Still a great preacher. He'll be with us. I'm excited about having my pastor preach on Tuesday night. And then on Wednesday night, we're having a huge pizza party. Barry Snap, I will say, the best preacher in the state of Georgia, will be with us on that Wednesday night. Now, there's a band coming from Kentucky called the Jason Lovins Band that'll lead the worship on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Then on Thursday, I know I'm throwing a lot out here at you, but we are blessed to have Legacy 5, which is an old Southern gospel group, guys that are well-renowned throughout not only our nation but in the world. They will be with us on Thursday night. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're doing a D-Now, Disciple Now, for students. That's 6th grade through 12th. Our son Stephen Fountain from First Baptist Church Buford will be preaching. And then a band from Luther Rice Seminary, or Bible College, will be leading the worship. And so it's literally 8 days of worship together. And every year we pack it out. And we have a lot of people who come to know Christ during that week.
Amen to that. This is a true bona fide revival.
It is.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, this kicked off this past year in 2025. And Mark, I'm smiling when I say it, but I'm a little. I don't want to be bragging, but I want to give a shout out to Jesus and to our church staff for what all they do and our membership. But we were able to baptize in Monroe, Georgia, 181 people in 2025.
What a blessing!
That
what
is a record,
yeah.
I'm sure, within the county.
That is just fantastic. What
and
a
already
blessing.
off to a good start. By Sunday, we'll have 5 baptisms already in January.
And if somebody wants to learn more about the revival, Pastor, what is the website? Because I'm assuming you have the data on there.
We do. It's right at the very front. www. My staff is probably laughing right now.
W's.
1025.church. It's just 1025.church.
That's easy enough to remember. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. We come back more with Pastor Tommy Fountain.
Located at 1167 Eatonton Road in Madison, is your full-service and professional installation center for all kinds of flooring, from tile, carpet, laminate, wood. They even do showers. They have granite and quartz countertops. All military, police, firefighters, and teachers ask for your discount. Madison Flooring is locally owned and operated. For knowledgeable and friendly service, call 706-431-5152.
If you're looking for a caring dental office that can handle all of your dental needs, look no further. Georgia Dental Studio provides routine and emergency exams. Whether your smile needs a gentle exam, a full mouth restoration, or anything in between, they promise to provide you with exceptional care. They do extractions, root canals, crowns, implants, IV sedation, veneers, and much more. Call 770-464-3626. Georgia Dental Studio, 150 Main Street, Plumbing in Jersey, just a short drive from Monroe, Social Circle, Covington, Bogart, and Oxford.
Double D Plumbing is a local, owned, licensed, and insured plumbing company in Loganville. You can reach Double D Plumbing at 770-466-8370. They have the ability to take on any plumbing job regardless of size or difficulty, with experience in all phases of plumbing, including commercial and residential, tankless heaters, sewer cameras, and drain cleaning. Call Craig Shepard at 770-466-8370 or visit them on the web at ddplumbinggeorgia.com. You're going to like the way they flow.
Welcome back, Marc McMain. Our guest is Pastor Tommy Fountain, pastor of 1025 Church here in Monroe. Pastor, I figured we'd save a few minutes, and I want to talk about a couple things. This is going to be a little bit more, let's say, serious conversation. And none of this is political. This is all spiritual. But there's some things going on, not just in the world, but in our country right here that I am concerned about. And it's not just one. It's a myriad of things. It's that continued push towards a worldly view on everything, right?
Correct.
It seems like we saw it start in the 60s where they removed prayer from school, and there's been efforts ever since then to remove God and remove Christ, and we are a biblically founded country, right? So there's always been this effort to remove that, even to the point where you have some that want to remove "In God We Trust" from the dollar bill. So that is a fight that's always being fought. And the reason I say all this is once you see that taking place, there's a deterioration of the fabric of our country, and we see it manifest in many ways: drug addiction, crime rates, infidelity, divorce, you name it, abortion, all these things that have come from this. And one thing that keeps popping up, and I'm not saying this is the most important thing, but it's a big deal to me, it keeps popping up in my life over the past couple of weeks, is work ethic.
Right.
I mean, this is biblical. I mean, it says in the Bible, and you're going to be able, I can't quote where, I'm not a theologian, you are, but I know it says in the Bible somewhere that if you don't work, you don't eat.
That's correct. And the Bible also says, whatever you do, do it heartily. And so the truth of the Scriptures teach us that a man is literally to make sure that he works, he provides for his family. And I know we're in a culture where ladies have to work as well, but it appears that even with a younger generation that we've lost the work ethic. And we've lost it in the church setting. You know, that's why I get so excited about our young staff, because, man, they have a work ethic. Every time I turn around, guys who are in our church or ladies who have businesses are having a difficult time finding people who will work and not only be there, but even be on time.
I've been connected with the small business community for well over 2 decades, and that's always been kind of a murmuring point with business owners. Oh, yeah, it's tough to find good employees, but it was never a crisis, right? It was never, I can't keep my doors open because I can't find good people. Now that's changed, Pastor. Now, since COVID, we're seeing businesses that are actually having to shut down because they can't find good help. And these are businesses that are paying very handsome wages. You know, this isn't, the days of making $7 an hour someplace are gone. You know, everyone's making much more than that. What is happening? What is going on? And it's not just young people, Pastor. It's people that are in their 30s and 40s.
Well, I'm going to make a statement. A sound society is based in part on healthy family relationships. I'm convinced that the issues that we're dealing with in our country start within our family. The Bible teaches us that the first 2 institutions are that what God ordained was the family and then the church. Of course, you know, we got the government, all of that, but the family and the church. And so when the old devil starts attacking, and this is work ethic as well, because when he starts attacking the family, it affects the mom, the dad, the children.
Yeah, that's right.
And so if the children see the mom and dad not having a good work ethic, I really believe that's where it starts. Now, you could probably give statistics and you could probably talk to businesses and they might tell you something different, but you're asking me, a Bible preacher, and I believe it starts in the home. We taught our boys to have good work ethic at an early age. They had responsibilities. They knew there were things they had to do. Even in high school, when they were both playing baseball, football, and basketball, when they weren't playing, they still had responsibilities, and they worked. They worked their way through college. They both had baseball scholarships. But man, one of them cleaned toilets at the university where he was. The other one got out and was a street sweeper at the middle of the night, you know, so they could go to school. and do those things. So I'm convinced that my work ethic and Diane's work ethic had an impact on their work ethic, and I think we're just at that generation time, and some of it is the baby boomers' fault. You know, I'm a baby boomer, and we may have had good work ethic, but did we say things like, we want our kids to have more than we had, and so we just give, and never teach them responsibility?
And I think each generation is faced with what you just said there, because as each generation maybe does financially perform better than the prior,
Right.
then there is that appetite to maybe provide more opportunities for your kids. And that's probably a very difficult thing to ever eliminate, because it's just natural. If you've got more than what your parents had, you're going to give more to your kids, but it's that messaging that comes with it. It's
Absolutely.
like, hey, this didn't come easy. The other day I had a young man was delivering something to my house, and we got to talking out in front of the house, and he looked like in his early to mid-20s, and he said, let me ask you, we talked about business and some of the experience I had. He says, what's your secret? You know, what's your secret to success? And I really have never had anybody ask me that before. And I said, for first off, I said, there's no get-rich-quick scheme. I said, that doesn't exist. And I said, despise not small beginnings. I said, something may, just like you said, street sweeping may not be the most glamorous job,
Right.
but it's going to put food on the table.
That's right.
And so despise not small beginnings, and just be willing to roll your sleeves up and go after it and be smart, be fiscally responsible. And I think what happens with our culture now is there's that immediate gratification appetite where it's like, I want this and I want it now. So perhaps when it translates to a job, somebody wants 6 weeks vacation year one or 5 weeks vacation. It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
And they want what took somebody 30 years to get. They want that day one.
Right now.
They want it right now. And so, and again, I don't want to make this sound like it's our world's crashing to an end, but I think we have now reached a point where it's a crisis in our country.
But there are biblical principles that start with that family unit, and as that family unit is in our communities, we tend to have we want to be, the Christian faith is we want to always be gracious and kind, forgiving and loving, and we help a lot of families at 1025. I mean, we come Thanksgiving time, I mean, we're at Magnolia Terrace giving every household in there Thanksgiving meal. We did a lot for Christmas. We do all of that. But the emphasis that we still place upon those kids when we are dealing with them, or the parents as well, is that you have to work.
Yeah.
And that is not a popular subject sometimes in certain communities. If I can say this, I do think that our government has really caused us some major issues. If you look like, I'm fixing to get in trouble now, but FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt,
Mm-hmm.
The New Deal, that really wasn't a good thing for us.
Right.
If you study history and you see the handout, everybody, oh yeah, he was a great guy. But I know he was a great guy.
The trajectory it put us on.
It put us on is that now we give and we give and we give. And so people grow up in those environments and they learn to work the system, and so they think it should be given to them. And even in our setting where I was a pastor, Diane was in banking business, and we were a good middle class setting. I don't want to pay anything about that.
Yeah.
Now, I grew up poor. I grew up in the projects. I finally made it to the Mill Village. But as we worked, we still felt it was a necessity to teach our kids part of their Christian responsibility, and what would tell other people that they really walked with Jesus was their work ethic.
I think you're right. The government, by giving away free stuff, neuters people's desire to work, and then what you have now are politicians who will then latch onto that and realize if they promise more free stuff, they can get elected and be and put into a position of power. And it's going to take leaders to say the free stuff is over.
Well, before anybody misunderstands me, please know that my daddy was a drug addict and an alcoholic till I was almost 10 years old. He got saved. He lived for the Lord several years. He had his lungs collapse. He got tuberculosis. We lost everything we had. During that time, we needed assistance. We needed help.
Right.
But my daddy, old Buford, went to school during those 18 months. He couldn't work because of tuberculosis. And he got out, went into the medical field. We got out of that setting, and the rest is history. As we understood that even in working in the Piggly Wiggly, I knew to get out of the projects and get out of that setting at 12 years old, I needed to work.
The social programs should be nothing more than a safety net, like when you're
absolutely that was a need.
Yeah,
and I'm grateful for it.
Right.
You know, we were blessed to have some family that helped. I went to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I finished All-Stars as a 12-year-old in baseball. Went to work
at 12 years old.
the next
Think
week.
about that.
Yeah,
I don't know that you ever hear those stories anymore.
No,
it just
and so my concern is that it's a responsibility. And again, Mark, I think it starts with the family unit. And I know schools are doing a great job. I'll be meeting with our principal next week, Mr. Eddie Hood, on Thursday, to talk about some of this. And they're doing a great job in our schools. Not only the private schools, not only homeschooling,
right, but
even in our public schools. There's a great effort they're putting forth to help put people out in the workforce.
Yeah.
And we're finding some young men, that I'm going to speak positive. I got a 16-year-old right now that can clean anything. He ought to see this big truck he drives and all that, and he's doing well. He's a junior in high school, and he works hard. And his parents are great people. He could do, but he says, "I just want to make people happy. I want to work.
Oh, and I
want to do a good job."
I see plenty of young people that are just. And look, I still think the future is bright. There's so many young people that are just killing it, and not just young people across the board, but it's just it's really two separate groups now, right? There's no middle ground, and it's.
Well, can I say this real quick? I think it's a family responsibility. I really do. I do think that education is a major part of that, and it doesn't mean they have to go to college or get the university or degrees. I'm for that, but it doesn't mean that. But I do think that our government's got to get to a point where they say, hey, we've got to hold people accountable and responsible. And I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or Independent. People need to be responsible.
It's not a political deal. It really isn't. Yeah.
It's really a spiritual issue.
Yeah, that's. I think you're spot on with that, and I love how you keep going back to the family element. There's no doubt about that. The next topic, and again, we've got a few minutes left. This is more general as it is versus specific. Is with all the things that are going on in the world, in our country, there's a lot of turmoil right now. It's just, especially when you look at the powers of evil trying to implement themselves in this world, in the fashions that we talked about a second ago. What do you do? How important is it for an individual or a family to get rooted or grounded into a church?
Jesus is the answer. He's the answer. And if I could emphasize that enough, I would say to you, I'm a living example of that. I've watched family after family. And so, a person needs to have a personal relationship with Christ. They need to understand they need the church. That's the ecclesia. That's the local body assembly of believers. This morning, I had a young man who's a successful businessman send me a text early this morning and said, hey, he just joined our church. I just led him to the Lord, baptized him. And he said, how can we get plugged in and how can we serve? And, of course, I said, hey, this afternoon at 3 o'clock, he and I will be talking about how they can get involved.
That's awesome. I love that. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Pastor Tommy Fountain, pastor of 1025 Church. Pastor, let's go through this again. Tell us about the big revival coming up. Let's kind of walk through it, because this is a really great way for somebody, if they want to get introduced to what y'all have going on, maybe start with this.
Oh, it'd be great. January the 25th through February the 1st, 5 nights and 5 services, rather, of preaching Sunday morning through Wednesday night. Great preachers. We got a great band coming in from Kentucky called the Jason Lovings Band. They've got Legacy 5 on Thursday night, D-Now for students, 6th grade through 12th. And you can find all of that out on our website, www.1025.church.
That's fantastic, folks.
And we'd love to have everybody.
Well, and our station covers a vast swath, and I tell people, if you're not in this neck of the woods and you're too far from 1025 Church and you're not involved in a church, get involved. Find a good church that teaches the Bible, like you said earlier, Pastor, and preaches the truth.
Yes.
And that's you get that. That's a great foundational start.
Well, I want to say one thing real quick.
Sure. I'm
so excited about the state Senate race. And you got our support, and you know that. When I say ours, mine and Diane's, I'm not speaking for my church. I don't want to make anybody too bad, but you do, and I'm grateful for what you do within our community.
Well, I love it. Lillian and I are so blessed to live here and be a part of this, and nothing is more rewarding for us. And we go and we travel around and we visit people and meet new people from this area. It is we're just blessed, Pastor, to have the leadership that we have in our communities.
We really do.
Yeah.
And I talked about Keith Brooks earlier. It's just been Walton County, and I know you reach other counties as well, but Walton County is kind of insulated in a sense with some really good conservative folks, and that means a lot to me. I would say to anyone, if you wanted to find a place to live, come to Walton County.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Visit us at 1025 Church, 1025 East Spring Street, there in Monroe, or if you're over in Barrett County in that area, hey, check out 1025 Church Stadium. Man, they're doing great there.
And that website is 1025.church. That's easy to remember.
And a church alive
is worth the drive. And remember, this is my saying. Remember, we're always alive at 1025. And hey, here's my last one, okay? This is my little last one. They've laughed at me. There ain't nothing God can't fix in 2026.
Oh,
man, that's fantastic. And then 10:30 a.m. Saturday, Sunday morning
on the radio.
Yeah. Well,
my favorite time of the day.
Oh, you're a sweetheart.
I get my Sunday morning
9
with
o'clock
Mr.
at Monroe, 10 o'clock at Statham, and 11 o'clock at Monroe.
Pastor, I appreciate you joining us. It was a lot of fun.
What a blast. I love you. Tell that wife that
love you too.
I'm ready for another supper.
Well, and you got to come back and see us. Yeah. You got to bring a napkin with you because that salsa makes a nose run. That's spicy. Oh, that's a lot of fun. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, Terry England, former state rep, will be joining us.
This is Q92.3 WMOQ FM, Bostwick, Monroe, Madison. Your home for real country.
Hey, this is Doug.
And this is Robbie.
We own and operate Foy Tree Service.
When you need tree cutting, stump grinding, lot clearing, mulching, firewood, and more, call Foy Tree Service.
Serving Morgan County and surrounding area since 1987.
With top quality service and fair prices, we take pride in our work, and we do everything to make sure that you are a happy customer.
That's Foy Tree Service. Call us at 706-342-8733.
That's 706-342-TREE.
Youngblood Tractor in Madison is proud to be your local Massey Ferguson dealer. Massey Ferguson has been building straightforward, dependable, and affordable tractors and farm equipment for 175 years. Massey Ferguson right now has the best lineup in their 175-year history, and there has never been a better time to upgrade to a Massey Ferguson tractor. Youngblood Tractor carries the complete lineup of Massey Ferguson tractors ranging from the 22.5 horsepower subcompact all the way up to the 130 horsepower mid-range utility tractor. And with one of the largest trailer inventories in the state, you'll always have a way to get it home. Youngblood Tractor also carries the complete lineup of hay equipment, including the legendary Massey Ferguson 1840 square baler, as well as implements like rotary cutters, batwing cutters, box blades, grapples, pallet forks, and more. There are great financing promotions to take advantage of, so give us a call today at 706-342-2242. Youngblood Tractor also has experienced parts and service departments to take care of you after the sale. Visit us online at www.youngbloodtractor.com or stop by and see us at 1600 Athens Highway in Madison.
Roll-Off Systems of Statham, they're on a roll. They offer dumpsters in all sizes, trash compactors, porta potties, and new combo cans. Existing sites are new building sites. Trash and waste disposal, it's their business. Locally owned and operated. Call Roll-Off Systems today. 770-725-ROLL. That's 770-725-ROLL. Or go to rolloffsystems.com.
And welcome back to the Marc McMain Show. Our next guest is former state rep Terry England. Terry, thank you for joining us, sir.
Well, good afternoon. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing great, and I appreciate you taking the time to visit with us today. It's always a pleasure. What this show is all about is just hearing from local leaders, people within our community, sharing their story. And I know you've got a heck of a story to share. I know a little bit about you. You and I have met a time or two in the past, but I'm going to be learning about you, as will the listeners, as we have this conversation. So I was just going to ask, maybe start off, tell us about you. I know you grew up in the ag world. What was that like, and tell us about your beginnings.
Well, I was born a poor child. Anyway, no. Grew up, have lived here on our farm pretty much my entire life. The farm was settled by my great-great-grandfather back in about 1866. And my great-grandfather farmed it. My grandfather farmed it for a little bit. And then we all kind of got out of that. And so then in high school, I was very involved in FFA. And
was this all in Barrow County? Was the farm Barrow County?
Yep. Yeah, born and raised in Barrow County. Been here the entire time. My wife was born and raised here in Barrow County. She grew up on the east end of the county. I grew up on the northwest end of the county, and high school sweethearts. Been married for 38 years now.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
But also on the farms on my mother's side of the family and my father's side of the family were carpenters, and I grew up doing that as well in the summers and anytime we were out of school, and it eventually wound up starting to grow produce. Grew produce for several years here on our place, and we wound up owning and operating the Homeport Farm Mart, which was a farm store in Winder, kind of on the Watkinsville side of Winder on 53 Highway down there, and did that for several years. So just kind of all been twisted up amongst it, as they would say, through the years.
And so being in the ag world, obviously this is still a very critically important part of Georgia's growth. How have you seen that industry change over the past several decades? Because I know there's still tremendous complexities that farmers face, especially when you're looking at farmers who are truly out there providing food for the masses. What challenges existed back then versus today? How is that differing?
The challenges, I think, there have always been challenges. I think today is much harder on our producers. Input costs have gone up substantially in just the last 4 to 5 years. Technology has helped some, but you can only grow so many bales of cotton on an acre of land. You can only grow so many bushels of soybeans or corn on an acre of land. And with machinery continuing to steeply escalate in price, then your fuel, your fertilizers, your crop protection products,
your labor,
all of those things have substantially increased over the last few years. And there's been downward pressure on what those commodities and what those crops actually bring. I mean, the cost of cotton production-wise is about 82 cents a pound, and it's selling right now in the 60s. And so
that math doesn't work.
It doesn't. The business is so good, you got to get a bigger truck.
You just losing more.
And that's what we're starting to see, and what I'm starting to see around the state is we've got a lot of producers that are looking at marginal land and taking it out of production just because they can't afford to continue to farm it, hoping and holding on for a better day. But they can only hold on for so long. It's gotten considerably tougher in the last 3 to 4 years than it has been ever, I think.
A few years ago, I attended an agricultural, I guess you would call it a forum in Barrow County that, I don't even remember who put it on, but it was a chance where you had some speakers come in, and there was a lot of people from the ag community in Barrow County there. And I know one of the concerns at the time that I identified was the average age of a farmer. It's I would guess now, and this is not scientific data, but I'm going to assume it's in the high 50s, late 50s is the average age of a farmer. I know it was around 57, 58 when I researched this a few years ago, so I don't imagine it's changed too much. And what that indicates, Terry, is that the younger or next generation is apprehensive to enter and get involved in what their parents were doing.
It very much so. And what you see, too, a lot of folks my age, I'm 59, I'll be 60 this year. What you see happening in folks that are my age, my generation, is they may have smaller farms, and as they quit farming, retire from farming, then a younger generation following them may accumulate what had been 3 or 4 producers' property or land, leasing, renting, whatever. And so you've got one person replacing 3 or 4, just farming that much more land. So, yes, the average age continues to go up, and the number of actual farmers also continues to go down. The number of actual producers.
Yeah, people that are willing to go in and invest the hours and, like you said earlier, face these economic challenges that any smart business person, if you were to say, hey, I want you to come and join a business with me, and you say, well, yeah, what does it cost you to make your widget? Well, it costs us more than we sell it for, but, we want you to invest. That's a tough sell. I mean, that is not an easy thing to get people on board with.
Well, and it's especially hard on young people getting into ag today, if they don't have, if it's not being handed down from one generation to the next. It makes it very difficult for someone starting off to go out there and try to piece together enough land to get into farming. But then you've got to worry about your capital outlay on your expense for your machinery and equipment. And it's just almost impossible for someone that is not in the industry to get into the industry. And that's been a challenge for us in ag for decades, but it's just getting that much more acute of a challenge in the last really 10 years.
Yeah, how do we lower that barrier of entry for somebody that wants to get into it now? Because I do think there's still a chance for people who want to get into, and I use this phrase, boutique farming, right? Whether it be the organic or the specialty farming, where you could actually make a living, doing this, and you don't need 1,000 acres, right? You can do it on 20 or 30 acres, especially if you do something that's really unique or in high demand. But even that, like you said, the land, the equipment, the investment is just tremendous compared to what you could get into another business that would be equally as profitable. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is former state rep Terry England. Terry, let me ask you this: how did you get into, what was the motivation then to get involved in the political realm? What did that journey look like?
Well, honest to goodness, it started the first time I ever visited the Capitol in the 5th grade. It was a 5th grade field trip. County Line Elementary is where I went to school here in Barrow County, and we took the field trip to the Capitol one day and touring around it. And I think we visited the Senate chamber first, and I kind of walked around and looked at it and thought, well, this is pretty nice. Then we wound up over in the House chamber after that. And it was, for me, for whatever reason, I can't describe it. It was, even in the 5th grade, it being 9 or 10 years old, whatever you'd be at that point, just walking in there and kind of feeling at home, and just thought to myself, seriously, that day as a 5th grader, I would actually like to be here one day.
It made an impression.
And kind of thought about it some through the years, and was active in a lot of different things in high school, and had been active in our community here through Lions Club and Farm Bureau and several other entities, our local chamber and stuff through the years, and had kind of put that thought of being in the house on the back burner. Our business, the farm store, was taking off, and we were running wide open with it. And the seat came open, and lo and behold, one of 3 people I think that I'd ever told about that 5th grader's dream calls me the morning we find out the seat was going to be open, and says, all right, now's your time. And I nicely deferred and said, we're in the middle of building this business. I can't do it. And she said, well, it's going to be now or never. We're going to do this. You're drafted.
You're the guy.
And off to the races we went. That was Monday of the week of qualifying, and we finally went and qualified on that Wednesday. And the other person that qualified was a good friend of mine, still is a very good friend of mine, and probably one of the cleanest races ever been run in Georgia politics.
I was going to say, because primaries can get nasty sometimes. Yeah. So y'all remain friends. That's good to hear.
And probably one of the cheapest primary races for an open seat that's ever been run, because I tease him and he teases me about us both being tightwads. There we are running for an open seat, and combined we spent just slightly over $19,000 between the two of us.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing stories of other people spending $250,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, me and my guy were too much of a tightwad to go spend that kind of money.
I think you got to spend that kind of money now just to win a city council race. It's politics is not a cheap game. What anybody that was influential for you, say after you're elected, anybody in politics that maybe mentored you or was influential in your political career?
Well, I mean, there were individuals prior to me getting elected, but then you get in there and start learning about different folks and start watching other folks. Prior to getting into the House and prior to actually running, a lady here in our community named Beth Caldwell was someone that I'd always looked up to, and a lot of folks in our community looked up to. She had been on our school board. She'd been a county commissioner, and she'd been a city council person in the city of Winder. Never, to my knowledge, never lost a race. She always knew when it was time to move on to the next thing. And Miss Beth had always been very much a mentor to me and many others. And then once you get elected and you're starting to try to learn what's going on, there were others. Senator John Bullock from down in Ocklawahnee, Georgia, down in deep southwest Georgia, was a mentor. He kind of took me under his wing. He was Senate Ag Committee chairman at the time. Tom McCall was the House Ag Committee chair. Tom and I are very good friends. He's currently the Georgia Farm Bureau president, but Tom was the House Ag Committee chairman and actually was my seatmate on the House floor for about 6 years, I guess it was. But Tom and I both knew each other before we got elected to the House. Tom served quite a bit longer than I did. But, individuals like that, and then the late Speaker David Ralston was one of my dearest friends, and somebody that I just thought the world of, and I served as the Appropriations Chairman in the House for 12 years during his speakership, and a very close working relationship with him and others like Richard Smith, the late Richard Smith from Columbus, the late John Meadows from Calhoun, the late Jay Powell from Camilla, Georgia. All were folks that I just had a utmost respect for and were incredibly close friends. And then Senator Jack Hill, Jack was the Appropriations Chairman in the Senate while I was serving as approach chair in the House, and Jack unfortunately passed away in 2020, kind of in the middle of what we call the COVID break. Didn't have COVID, did not get COVID, but died of some other circumstances, and just much too young, much too early. Loved him dearly, and the things he did for this state. Most people will never know all of the things that Jack Hill helped make happen.
Well, these are big commitments, these seats, because and many of our listeners may be aware, and some are not. When you run for state office, whether it's in the House or in the Senate, you are basically stepping away from your career for about 4 months, from January into April, say 3 to 4 months, depending upon how many days they're in session. And the pay is just enough to wet your beak. It is not something that you're going to survive on. It barely justifies, probably doesn't even justify you stepping away from your business for that period of time. So you're really doing this for the love of your state and that you want to get involved and make a difference.
Very much so. I mean, it is, we are a part-time General Assembly in the state of Georgia, or they are now.
Yep.
But it takes a heart of service to do it. You're not going to go into it. If you go into it with the thoughts you're going to get rich, you're going to be surprised real quick. Because especially if you're in business, if you're self-employed, we've got lawyers, CPAs, a lot of folks that are single practitioner type folks.
Yeah, they can't practice their business when they're doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's not enough hours in the day for them to do it. And it's quite the sacrifice. Some of the metro folks, the folks that live around Atlanta, can wrap up at the end of the day and go back home or go by their office and work for a couple hours. But you take somebody from Camilla, Georgia, like I mentioned Jay Powell a few minutes ago.
It's a 3 or 4 hour drive. Yeah.
Jay was a single practitioner attorney, and he was living in Atlanta 4 and 5 nights a week. We try to run home on the weekends and do a little bit of business, but what you see those folks go through is just I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's a lot. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Terry England. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is attorney Bart Bitton with Bitton & Bitton. I live and work right here in Monroe, Georgia, and I am proud to serve this area. If you've been hurt in a car accident, you don't need some out-of-town lawyer that treats you like a number. You deserve a local lawyer you can trust, someone who lives here, works here, and takes care of people. So remember this, if you're ever in a car accident, be smart, call Bart. Bitton & Bitton, local lawyers you can trust.
Do you have unwanted or scrap gold and silver jewelry just lying around? What about sterling flatware or gold and silver coins and bars? Madison Coin and Bullion will pay top dollar for any precious metals you own. Madison Coin and Bullion also offers a large selection of gold and silver coins and bullion available to purchase at competitive prices. And if you're looking to purchase jewelry at a considerably lower price, look no further than Madison Coin and Bullion. Madison Coin and Bullion, located at 2492 Eatonton Road in Madison, open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Hey y'all, it's Bethany at Willfully Guided Co. Boots and Western Apparel. Whether you're on the job site, in the barn, or out on the town, we've got the perfect boots for every occasion. From rugged work boots to stylish fashion picks, let us outfit the entire family from head to toe. Come see us at 116 South Broad Street, right in the heart of beautiful downtown Monroe. Willfully Guided Co. Boots and Western Apparel, your local family-owned destination for the finest boots and apparel around.
Leadfoot Mulching and Grading offers land clearing, hauling of gravel and sand, and more. And now offering screen topsoil for the farmer or homeowner, asphalt paving, and more. No job is too big or small. Locally owned and operated, it's Leadfoot Mulching and Grading, serving all of North Georgia. Fair prices and great customer service. Phone 404-909-5227 or go to leadfootmulching.com.
Welcome back to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Terry England, former state rep. Terry, when I was doing my prep last night, this is startling because it seemed like it was a lot longer ago, but I guess my notes here say it was about a year ago that you suffered this traumatic injury. Can you walk us through what happened that day?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was 11 months ago today, February the 8th.
Wow.
It was Saturday here at the farm. Yeah, and thank you for asking about it because it gives me a platform to hopefully keep other people from doing a stupid thing that I did, and that was getting on a skid steer and not buckling my seatbelt while going to do some work. And I was actually moving some saw logs that I had cut and stacking them in a different pile, and the machine got a little forward heavy, and most anybody that's run a skid steer before know what I'm talking about when I say the machine went to bucking, and it literally threw me between the seat and the top of the cab about 4 or 5 times with my head against the cab, and then landing back in the seat very hard, and finally it knocked me off the controls, and the machine finally came to a rest. And at that point, was paralyzed from the neck down.
Oh, my Lord.
Couldn't move my hands, arms, legs. Actually had to make myself breathe when I first came to because the voluntary breathing was not happening. I thankfully was able to make myself breathe, but couldn't get a deep enough breath to holler out, try to call for help.
Oh, my Lord.
Thankfully, my dad and our neighbor on the other side of us, on the other side of where I was working, both heard the commotion and then realized the machine was sitting there still running wide open but not moving, and both I don't know how long elapsed between when it happened and how soon they got there. But within a few minutes, they got there and asked me, do we need to call somebody to come help? And I said, yes, absolutely.
So you were able to speak?
By that point, I was. I could get enough breath in to barely get something audible out. And Barra County EMS got here very quickly. To my two new heroes, the two EMTs that were on call that day, somehow got me out of the cab of the skid steer. They joked with me later when I saw them. Said, we thought that you were 7 or 8 foot tall because we kept unfolding you, and there was just more and more of you just kept coming out of that cab.
Lord,
and
mercy.
So they got me out. We're about 30 miles from Northeast Georgia Medical Center in Gainesville, which just so happened that morning we'd seen on the news that they had opened a brand new trauma center tower that very morning. And so they take me straight to Gainesville, wound up being the first patient to christen the new trauma center. And within about 7 hours of the accident, I was in surgery. They were opened up from just below my skull down to about the middle of my shoulder blades, and basically cut the best way to describe it, they cut the back of the vertebra out, put 2 titanium rods in, and screwed it all back together to give room for the spinal column to actually swell and then go back down without having pressure on it. So,
my goodness, Terry, that is just frightening.
Yeah, it wasn't something that I set out to do that morning for sure. But
mercy.
It was what's called a spinal cord injury, an SCI. Layered on top of that, a couple of concussions from hitting my head against the roof of the machine, and a diagnosis initially of an inverted incomplete quadriplegic.
Are you kidding me?
So actually the inverted means that I started regaining use of my feet and legs before I started regaining use of my arms and hands, which is opposite of what normally happens. But, through the good Lord looking after us and deciding that he didn't want to bring me home that day, we spent a week and a half, well, I guess 11 days at Gainesville and Northeast Georgia and the trauma center up there. Transferred then to Shepherd Center in Atlanta and spent 2.5 months there with a building full of angels that I can never say enough good about how good they were to us and how much good they did for us and with us to help me be able to walk again, help me be able to use my hands and arms again, help me be able to get back on a tractor. I've been back on the skid steer, albeit with the seatbelt
with the seatbelt buckled in tight,
and actually bought a different machine now that has an air ride seat, a 3-point restraint system, and a lap bar. So,
every safety precaution that they offer is like add it,
and it has a horn on it, so if something happens and I can't holler again, I can always blow the horn. Maybe.
Oh, but, my Lord! I just can't imagine. I can only think about the moments, the following days in ICU when you're recovering from this, not knowing. Especially when they give you this prognosis of what this could be, not knowing. Will I be able to walk again? Be able to use my hands again? This had to be a very daunting experience for you.
It was, but Mark, when I woke up on Sunday morning, it happened on Saturday. Surgery finally got finished. I think about 1:30, 1:45 on Sunday morning, and so at some point on Sunday morning, wake up in the hospital room and tell me where we are, tell me what we are, where we are, and all that sort of stuff. And so me and my wife are there by ourselves there for a little bit. And I said, look, don't know why the good Lord let this happen or why he made it happen. But there's a reason for it. There's a reason we're here. I'm not going to be mad at the world. I'm not going to be upset. I'm a little upset at myself for not having the seatbelt on. But Lord brought us through this far. He's not going to leave us. And, we're going to use this as an opportunity to witness to others.
I love that. Yeah.
Be a place of respite for the staff that are tending to folks that are mad at the world because they're injured or hurt. And, and we had the same attitude when we got to Shepherd that, we were on the adolescent floor at Shepherd, which was basically 17 to 25-year-olds. And so you had a couple of young men that had been paralyzed in high school wrestling accidents.
Yeah, Dominic Haynes, his dad is a dear friend of mine. Yep.
Dominic was 3 doors down from me while we were there. And another young man from up in Tennessee, very similar circumstances. And then a couple of young men that got hurt skiing and various and sundry other things. And we just told the staff, look, we're the old folks on this hall. We ain't mad about being here. We don't necessarily want to be here, but while we're here, we're going to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And when these kids are having a bad day or bad night, and you just need to get away from it a little bit, come in here. We'll sit and talk. We'll sit and pray. We'll do whatever we need to do to kind of, because, the kids get upset. Well, then the adults get upset. And the nurses and the attendants, they get upset because they, see a kid upset. And so naturally they get upset. And so there are a lot of times, especially in the night, that I'd wake up and a nurse or a tech would be in there just kind of standing there watching TV, and I'm like, you okay? Well, yeah, so-and-so down the hall, he's having a really bad night. I just needed a place. I knew I could come in here. And, we'd talk for 5 minutes, 35 minutes, 45 minutes, and it, help them recenter and go back at it. But good Lord brought us through it. That's all, and he's continuing to.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Terry England. He's sharing the events of February 8th when he was in a farming accident. It's how long were you in Shepherd's for?
We were there for 2.5 months.
Wow. Yeah, I know that's a first-class facility, too, and what a blessing the services they offer to help people that have had spinal injuries.
We were, me and my wife, Cindy, we tell folks, we rolled into Shepherd and we set a goal that we were going to walk out. And not everybody gets to walk out of Shepherd. They don't get to a spot of improvement enough to get to, and we were very blessed that we did.
Yeah.
And actually, we wound up, our course of treatment went a good bit quicker than what they had expected it to. And so we wound up leaving Shepherd somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks earlier than they'd originally thought we would.
Wow. Yeah, that's something. Well, what a blessing. What a blessing to have you back on your feet. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, more with Terry England.
Are you looking for new tires? Well, look no further than Madison Car Care. They have the largest selection, and you'll always get the best price. They also handle a wide range of auto repairs, from the small things like oil changes and wiper blades to the big things like suspension, parts, and radiators. They offer all kinds of accessories, from toolboxes to bed covers, side steps, and they even install those awesome ranch hand bush guards. Give them a call at 706-342-4774 or stop by at 1040 Confederate Road in Madison.
Have you been putting off auto repairs? Do you want a body shop you know and trust? Go see Auto Correct Collision. Auto Correct is a family-owned and operated collision center with over 45 years of experience. Their equipment and training exceed industry standards. No repair is too big or small. Ask about the special drawings and mention this ad for a discount. Visit Auto Correct Collision at 409 Mayfield Drive or call them at 770-207-1200. 888-222-4241.
Make sure your diesel is ready for every season by stopping in at Leadfoot Diesel. Their technicians have many years of combined experience to keep your Cummins, Power Stroke, and Duramax running the way it should. Plus, they can improve fuel mileage, perform upgrades, AC repair, and they offer tires, wheels, lift kits, and more. Diesel owners from all over the country trust Leadfoot Diesel, 320 Mayfield Drive in Monroe. Stop in or go to leadfootdiesel.com.
When it comes to tasty treats, the only place you need to be is Stone Mountain Pecan Company. Offering high-quality Georgia pecans, other nuts, dried fruits, coffees, and candies, Stone Mountain Pecan has it all. And the best part, it's all online at stonemountainpecan.com. Or take it all in person and visit their country store on Highway 78 in Monroe. Stone Mountain Pecan Company. Something for everyone. Eat well, be happy.
Welcome back. Marc McMain. Terry England's our guest, former state rep. Terry, let's kind of shift gears back. We'll kind of go into what's currently taking place in the state of politics as it pertains to Georgia. You were one of the most influential members of the Georgia House for 18 years. How would you describe the current political landscape versus when you first entered, 2 decades ago?
He made me sound like an old man, which I am.
I didn't mean to age you there.
Oh, mate. When I first got elected and took office in 2005, social media, for the most part, really didn't exist. I mean, Facebook was just really, starting to get off the ground, I guess.
Yep.
So it was still very much retail politics. It was, you ran ads in the local paper, you filled up mailboxes with campaign literature, you went to meetings, saw people face to face, one-on-one. And then as we saw social media really start evolving into what it's become now, you went through kind of that transition phase of folks starting to learn about it and folks attacking, and they still do attack one another, and the civility disappeared out of a lot of things. You couldn't have a civil discourse, and really in a lot of ways you can't now because of the way social media is. And there's a lot of folks that'll say things sitting behind a keyboard that would never say whatever it is they're saying to somebody face to face.
Oh, that's in every capacity. And think about this, Terry. Think about how often in the past have you maybe sent an email to one person that you regretted sending, or maybe you typed up an email, slept on it, read it the next morning, and said, you know what, I'm not going to send that email. Well, what happens now is people type up these messages, and they're not just an email going to one person. It's going to dozens, if not hundreds or thousands.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it allows for people to see and understand what's going on in their government so much quicker than it did years ago when everybody was relying on newspapers and stuff would happen in Atlanta, and it literally might be 2 weeks before somebody in Waycross would know what the news coming out of Atlanta was. And today we started streaming in the House. We started streaming all of our committee meetings probably in 2007 or 2008 live on the internet, so people could keep up with what was going on in committees.
That's a great feature, by the way. It's our very own Jeff Hood, who is our political guru, if you will, for WMOQ. He does it. He really tunes in and pays attention to what's going on, and that is a great tool. Yeah, and it allows folks to really know what's going on real time. But the thing is, too, the problem is that disinformation can get. Somebody said one time, a lie go around the world twice before the truth can tie its shoes, and I think it was Mark Twain maybe. And but
that's the thing about it. The disinformation gets out there, and then it takes so much energy and effort to correct it. And, that, and a lot of those that are spreading this information, they don't care how much it causes somebody to have to work to correct it. They just enjoy causing the dissension and the upset.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They'll get on there and they'll launch a grenade and then watch the repercussions. And like you said before, they're hiding behind the keyboard and they can just sit back and lay in the weeds as things take place. And it's there's advantages to this, like you said, the transparency element of it, real time data coming across. There's some good value there, but it does open the door for some chicanery, and it's frustrating when it happens. Are there any issues that you're following closely, especially with your background in the ag world, or your time on the appropriations committee? Are there things that you're kind of keeping an eye on that you're looking out for this upcoming legislative session?
Well, always Speaker Ralston, we started down a path back in about 2014, 2015 of really trying to understand what we were seeing happening in rural Georgia and the decline of so many bits and pieces of things in rural Georgia, whether it was rural health care, whether it was declining populations, so many things that we were starting to witness firsthand. And so a lot of the things that I continue to follow, and a lot of the things I did work on while I was a member, deal with or are dedicated toward trying to figure out what it is we need to do to make life sustainable in rural Georgia, to make sure that opportunities in rural Georgia are there for young people and old alike, that are available for anybody in Metro Atlanta. And as Speaker Ralston once said, your zip code should not dictate your future and your prosperity. And so a lot of things that I continue to follow and look at and work on will continue to center around a lot of what we're trying to do to help in rural Georgia, whether it be education, health care, economic development, the ag industry in general. There's not a whole lot that the state of Georgia can do about commodity prices, but there are things that we can do to make sure that the government itself, state government itself anyway, is not getting in the way of ag producers being able to do what they need to do to make a living and maintain the farm, and if they wish to hand that farm down to future generations.
Marc McMain Show, our guest is Terry England, former state rep. Right now when you look at, let's just speak to our listeners right now, which is a combination. We cover a tremendous amount of the ag industry. When you look from Athens to Lake Oconee, back up to Barrow into Walton County, tons of ag people that listen to this show. And then you have people that live in more densely populated areas like Watkinsville, like Athens, like Monroe and Winder. And so I think things that I'm kind of keeping an eye on are, what efforts are going to be made to help. The burden right now on a lot of people's plates is property taxes. There's a discussion about reducing or eliminating the state income tax, which will put money back into people's pockets if they can do this wisely. And I think the challenge is when you hear these conversations, you have to be sure that we're not playing a shell game. If somebody's going to eliminate or reduce the state income tax, we have to make up for it some way, right? And how do we do that? Same thing with property tax. There's certain things, if you dial 911, you want somebody to come answer. You want that sheriff's deputy on your doorstep within a matter of minutes, right? This is good roads. These are things that property taxes go towards. That's going to be the challenge for this current legislative body, too, is how do they address these needs, like you said initially, with the rural community, the ag community, being sure that their needs are tended to, and then the people that are more densely populated areas that are facing some challenges when it comes to financial stuff. It's it's going to be a busy session, I think.
It will be, and then you throw in the middle of all of that is you truly have 1/3 of the state senate that are running for our office. When you count the number total number of members, Republican and Democrat.
Right.
As the 56 of them, and then the number that are actually running from both parties for higher office. You got a third of the Senate that is running, for something else, and that throws another interesting mix into it. But yeah, it is Georgia. Georgia is an extremely efficiently ran state.
It sure is. We're blessed. They're very fiscally responsible.
When I was in my role as approach chair on the House side, traveled the country a good bit, met with a lot of other similar position folks in other states, and would sit there and listen to some of the stories, and just shake my head of wondering, how do you get in the mess that you're in? How did y'all get in the mess that you're in? Who made that decision? That was, it just the stories that we would hear, and looking at how we came out of the Great Recession. The Great Recession downsized state government considerably, and we purposefully kept our thumb on the growth or regrowth of the state's government after that time, and remained very, very, very conscious of, if we add these positions, is this what we need to do, or is money better spent over here doing this or that or whatever? Right. And so Georgia has maintained a very fiscally conservative outlook, not only during Republican leadership over the last 2 decades, but even prior to that. Democrat friends that were in the governor's mansion prior to that were very fiscally conservative as well. And so, you've got to figure out that balance. You've got to figure out. I know, the Senate's talking about eliminating the income tax. Well, $19 billion roughly is what the state income tax brings in, which equates almost to what we spend in K-12 education in the state of Georgia. I know the speaker really wants to help folks by looking at property tax and helping add some predictability, especially to our senior citizens, of knowing what their tax bill is going to be from one year to the next. And
it's a big deal because you think about the increases that people have faced, not just in property tax, but also in homeowners insurance, right? It's gotten very expensive to insure a house and insure your cars beyond that. It's just, in the reprieves that we're getting in gas prices are great, but it seems to be neutralized in a bad way by the increases that we see elsewhere. And it's a burden. It really is on taxpayers.
Yeah. And I mean, insurance, a lot of the insurance rate increases, directly track to what has happened with inflation. And, a car today costs considerably more than it did in 2019 or 2020.
That's right.
The pandemic certainly threw everything for a loop. And house construction is the same as well. What it costs to build a 2,500 square foot house today is considerably more than what it was just 5 years ago.
That's right.
So, if you're doing replacement value insurance, well, the insurance is going to be higher because it costs more to replace.
Everything's more expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Everything's
exactly right.
more expensive. So, it's a quandary, that's for sure.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, one more segment with Terry England. Stick around.
Since 1979, the Tim Stewart Funeral Home family has been caring for families in their time of need. The Tim Stewart family pledges to honor your loved one with excellence in service, compassion, and will guide you in making the right decisions. To learn more about the Tim Stewart Funeral Home family, stop in at one of their 3 locations in Monroe, Loganville, and Lawrenceville. Call 770-267-2594 or go to stewardfh.com.
I've got to tell you about the best kept secret in Monroe for electric wholesale supply, Allen's Electric. Family owned and operated since 1972, Allen's Electric offers a complete line of electrical supply, wiring, breakers, bulbs, heating elements, electric motors, light fixtures, and so much more. Located at 925 West Spring Street in Monroe, stop by and see Brian and Cindy, in business for over 50 years. That's Allen Electric Supply, 770-267-5572.
Madison Flooring, located at 1167 Eatonton Road in Madison, is your full-service and professional installation center for all kinds of flooring, from tile, carpet, laminate, wood. They even do showers. They have granite and quartz countertops. All military, police, firefighters, and teachers ask for your discount. Madison Flooring is locally owned and operated. For knowledgeable and friendly service, call 706-431-5152.
Cassie Enterprises invites you to stop in and see their new line of Coyote brand tractors, UTVs, and Bad Boy zero-turn mowers. Coyote tractors have the power to handle any job. Working on the farm, landscape business, and more, Coyote tractors are dependable and ready to work for you. Sales, service, parts, and more. It's all available at Cassie Enterprises. Family owned and operated. 145 Highway 83 in Good Hope. Go to CassieTractor.com.
And welcome back. Marc McMain, our guest, is Terry England, former state rep. He has been kind enough to share with us his journey into politics, the harrowing, traumatic event when he was injured a year ago, his recovery, and now we're kind of just discussing some general political conversation. Terry, let me ask you, what's next for you? Well, tell us, what are you doing now, and what does the future hold?
Well, I'm actually still doing a little bit of stuff to help the speaker out. I was
because you were chief of staff prior to the injury, correct?
Correct. Yes, I had. After I'd retired, of course, we had a transition because Speaker Ralston passed away, and John Burns, who was actually one of my classmates in 2005, became speaker. And Speaker Ralston's chief of staff had stayed on and was wanting to transition out. And after I'd retired, they got through the session, and I still tease him about, I guess I got suckered into that Dick Cheney role where Vice President Cheney at the point was trying to help what was going to be President Bush find a running mate for vice president.
And then he got drawn into it, yeah.
And he finally told him, I want you to do it. And so that's what I was trying to do to help Speaker Burns is, find a new chief. And he finally called me one day in June of 23 and said, me and Dale want you to come do it. And
they said, we found our new chief. It's you.
yeah. And I said, well, I wasn't planning on that. And you're going to have to give Cindy and I just a few minutes or a couple of days to talk about it. So anyway, did that until I got injured, and continued to help from the hospital bed as much as I could. I told them, I said, look, my brain's still working. I might not be able to walk right yet, but y'all going to have to keep me busy or I'm going to go crazy here. And they're like, oh, don't worry about that. And so stayed engaged from my bed there at Shepherd, very engaged, as a matter of fact. And Chris Riley, that had been Governor Deal's chief of staff the entire time Governor Deal was governor, is one of my dearest friends, and Chris was at a point that he could step in and be interim while we were trying to figure out what my next steps were going to be. And so we finally, realizing that my stamina is not where it needs to be to do 16 and 18-hour days just yet, transitioned out of that role in August. Chris became the full-time chief of staff at that point. I'm still helping the speaker on a couple of special projects. We're building a new legislative office building across from the Capitol in Atlanta, and doing one of the largest historical renovations of the Capitol itself currently. And so there's a lot of questions have to be answered on behalf of the House. So I'm doing that for the speaker and the speaker's office, and then we'll be hosting legislators from all over the Southeast in 2027 in Savannah at the Southern Legislative Conference. And so I'm heading up the effort with our staff on that. And then I've got some other clients I'm doing some consulting work with.
That's excellent. So it's keeping you busy. You're able to kind of dip your toe back in the water and just go at your own pace.
Oh, yeah.
Then. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. What would be some advice that you'd give to people? Because like you mentioned earlier, there is a lot of transition. There's people that now, every day I think I've got a friend that comes to me and says, Mark, I'd like to get involved. There's an appetite from the whether it be the small business community or people who have been out there doing it in our community in any form or fashion, whether they're running a company or they're just working a regular job or whatever they're doing, leaders of faith that want to get involved. What would be advice that you have for them? And it doesn't even have to be at the state level. Let's say it's somebody who wants to get involved in their community, whether it be on the county commission, city council. What would you tell them?
First would be go for it, do it. By all means. I mean, that's how our republic is built, is based on people, everyday folks going and doing these leadership jobs on all levels of government. The one thing I think, kind of back to our earlier discussion, is civility. And you can disagree on things, but you don't have to be disagreeable.
Yep.
The old saying, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. That doesn't make you enemies. Get to know the folks that, if somebody is opposed to you, get to know that person and understand where it is, what spot in life they're in as to why that they would be opposed to whatever it is you're thinking about or wanting to try to do, and look at it through their lens. I've got a whole different view on things as it relates to the Americans with Disabilities Act now that
a whole new perspective. Think of that. Right.
Now that I've been through what I've been through, and it makes me look at things in that perspective a lot different than I used to. But try to understand where it is that your neighbor's coming from, and seek out the compromise. Compromise became a dirty word at some point. I don't know why, because the way our republic is set up, it's never meant that one person gets everything that they want. It's supposed to be a form of government that compromise is what makes it work. It's, you don't get everything you want, I don't get everything I want. We both walk away a little bit happy, and we both walk away a little bit sad, but we can live with it where we landed.
Well, and I love the story you shared at the beginning, talking about your first initial race when you ran for state house, and you had a very cordial primary with your friend that ended well in your favor, but nobody got their nose out of joint. And the same thing happened to me. I ran for office a few years ago, and in that primary there was 8 of us. And to this day, several of those guys are my friends. We trust me, we wanted to beat each other's brains out in the polling booth, but on the campaign trail, we became friends. And some of those guys are regulars on my show. Mitch Swan, Alan Sims. I talked to many of those guys that were in that race on a daily, if not weekly basis. And so it's, there's something to be learned from that. And I think I really enjoyed that story that you shared at the beginning. Any last bit of advice, something else that you're looking for? Is there any other closing comments that you have, Terry? And I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy, but there was a lot that we covered, from your experience, with the accident that you happened, your time in politics. You're a wealth of knowledge. And I'll tell you this, you're such a highly respected person, not just in Barrow County, but you've reached a lot of people. Obviously, with the accident, you made news with that. That was a shocker to everybody. There was the entire world was praying for you, and our community was praying for you. We're thrilled that you made the recovery, but you've got such a good reputation, and you did that because of how you handle yourself.
Well, First, I do want to thank everybody for the prayers. I've told folks in several instances, there for a while, I might have been the most prayed for person in the state of Georgia. We were getting cards and letters from little churches, and we were having to Google where these communities were to even figure out where they were. I thought I knew all 159 counties until some of these little places started popping up. But I want to thank everybody for that. But it's one of the things they taught us or told us early on. Don't do anything today or tomorrow that you wouldn't want your grandmother or your mama to read on the front page of the AJC tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, you know, that I was raised in, you know, your family name is one of the few things that you got that you got to protect. It didn't cost you anything to get it, but it cost you everything to lose it.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's just kind of how I've always tried to be in dealing with folks. And, you know, your reputation is, you only get one shot at your reputation, and you can so easily ruin it. And so I've always tried to be, you know, fair with everybody we dealt with, and you know, it's just that's all you got. When you leave here, that's all you get to take with you. You're not going to get to take any of your toys with you. You're not going to get to take your money with you.
No U-Hauls allowed in heaven. So
that's right, exactly. There ain't none of them backing up at the pearly gates to unload.
That's right. Sure. Well, Terry, I greatly appreciate you joining us today. This was a lot of fun, very informative, and I look forward to seeing you in the near future.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It was Terry England, former state rep. Chastity, great show today. As always, you killed it on the boards. You're the best producer in the producing business. I appreciate you. What's on store tomorrow for us?
Awesome. So tomorrow, another great lineup. So we have a local musician, Mr. Sam Coon.
Ooh, I like this. I like when we have the local musicians. Bring a little music and play a song or two of his?
Yeah, we could do that. And then he does have a new single out. It's called Every Other Weekend, so you can download that on samcoonmusic.com.
Excellent.
And then also, if you have any leaky surprises or clogged nightmares, we have Tap Plumbing, Miss Renee Park.
My buddy Renee Park.
Yep, who has the answers, and I bet she's got a wrench.
And she's got energy like nobody's ever seen. That's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I've been waiting to say
Looking
that.
forward to it. Okay.
And then your co-host, Mr. Brett Mullen.
Brett's back in the studio with us. All right,
So,
this is going to be a lot of fun. Well, good deal. Well, folks, we'll see you tomorrow at noon. Until then, stay safe.